Welcome to this video on parallel compression. Parallel compression has been a popular studio technique for many years and more recently has become popular amongst guitarists and bassists thanks to the availability of more fully featured compressor pedals. The Origin Effects Cali76 compressors are an example of a modern studio-derived compressor pedal that's capable of parallel compression. This video will explain parallel compression as a concept and demonstrate some sounds using the Cali76 FET compressor and Cali76 bass compressor. Parallel compression works by splitting the audio signal in two, sending one signal through a compressor and keeping the other unaffected. In simple terms, this means you can balance the natural dynamics of your clean signal with fairly heavy compression without things sounding overly squashed. A heavily compressed signal will have very little dynamic range, even less if the attack is set fast and the release set slow. This is because the loudest parts of the signal have been made much quieter and the quiet parts made much louder. With a signal like this, the pick attack part of the note will not jump out anywhere near as much as in the unaffected signal. However, the decaying tails of the notes will be much louder and more prominent in the compressed signal, which can be desirable. So, what advantage does parallel compression offer when trying to preserve natural dynamics in a heavily compressed signal? Normally, we hear the most compression on the pick attack portion of the signal, as this is the loudest part of the waveform. These peaks result in more gain reduction being applied, as they are the highest above the threshold. By lengthening the attack time and shortening the release, we can reduce the amount that peaks are squashed, but this is still a compromise. We restore some natural dynamics, but lose that extra sustain that really emphasizes the lower level parts of the signal. Parallel compression is different. With parallel compression, the peaks in the dry path are heard above the compressed signal, but we hear the sustaining effect of the compressor on the tail of the note. This works best with fast attack and slow release, giving us the character of very heavy compression, then using the dry signal to emphasize the dynamics of our pick attack. The peaks are now the least compressed part of the signal, and the quieter sounds are given greater prominence in the mix. By adjusting the relative levels of the dry and compressed signals, we can choose the right balance between natural articulation and increased sustain. On the Cali76 pedals, we've configured the controls to represent what you'd find in a studio setting. Separate levels for the compressed and dry signals so that you can balance them to get the desired sound. This can be helpful when dialing in the right tone, starting with the dry control at minimum to set your compressed tone, then adding just enough dry level so that the uncompressed peaks stand out when you need them to. Because these two controls are separate, you might need to turn down the out level when increasing the dry so that your Cali76 stays at unity gain. This will help make sure you don't add an unexpected level boost which can cause gain staging problems later in the chain. Now let's hear some parallel compression.